Today is Wednesday, and we discuss health and lifestyle. And for that, we have a very, very, very good guest who is going to talk to us about one thing that is very crucial because it happens to each and every one. And when I say everyone, it means that even if you're not the one who's experiencing it, at the end of the day, you're going to get affected in one way or another. What are we talking about today? We're talking about... I think I'll let him talk about it so that we can know what we're really talking about when it comes from his mouth. So without further ado, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well, and glad to be here today.
You're glad to be here.
Yes.
So who are you?
My name is James Atito.
Mm-hmm.
I work at Stretchers Youth Organization,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a community-based organization here in Mombasa.
Mm-hmm.
But we implement a number of programs across different counties, being Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Nairobi, Kisumu, and Siaya counties.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, I got people calling me the period man.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that is why I'm here, to talk about periods. Na si period kuhusu time, but ni ile periods.
Okay.
Hiyo ambayo unaogopa kusema.
Sijaogopa kusema. Nilikuwa I wanted it to come from your mouth.
Okay.
And so why periods? And why did you even get the title period man? Because you'd have gotten a lot of titles. People would have nicknamed you anything else, but they gave you the name period man. How did we reach to that point that people will call you period man and not by your real name now? Until now, you have a branded t-shirt. Everything about you is period man.
Yes.
Hey.
The period man started way back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, in 2016, there was this partner. I mentioned that I'm working at Stretchers Organization.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this partner that we were working with introduced something called menstrual cups to about 50 girls in Mombasa County.
Mm-hmm.
So menstrual cup is one of the items or products that girls can use to manage periods.
Mm-hmm.
It is a new concept in our area, but not new generally.
Mm.
So my younger sister was one of the beneficiaries of these menstrual cups.
Mm-hmm.
So I got interested to learn about this cup. Mm-hmm. And then months later, after the introduction of the cups, it faced opposition. Husbands who were saying that that product was not good for their wives. Fathers who were complaining that those products were not good for their girls.
Mm-hmm.
They say that maybe it breaks virginity.
Mm-hmm.
So the partners were looking for men
Mm-hmm.
to do research and understand what this product is all about. So that is when I decided to start doing my research, and I came across the word periods.
Mm-hmm.
It was at that time that it hit me that periods actually exist. And so I did more research on the same,
Mm-hmm.
and decided to be a champion for menstruation.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not very active
Mm-hmm.
until 2019, when I was contracted by another partner.
Mm-hmm.
I was contracted by another partner
Mm-hmm.
to go and train young people in Kakuma, Turkana.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to Kakuma, I encountered an experience
Mm-hmm.
where in the evening, around 7 p.m., you were walking towards the hotel where I was going to spend.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across 7 girls seated by the roadside around 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
It was drizzling. So I asked the person we were working with, why are these girls seated here at this time? And I was told that those girls were menstruating. And it is a taboo for them to be in their homestead, especially if men are there. So these girls would spend the entire period when they are menstruating by the roadside, day and night. They're not going to school. They're not doing anything meaningful. because of that taboo or stigma aspect. Then the following day, I was demonstrating how to use the menstrual cup.
In the same area.
In the same area. Now having my training session going on. Then there's a girl who furiously asked, why are you talking about periods? Kwani wewe ni period man? So it didn't hit me then. But when I came back home a week later, I started thinking about the 7 girls and thought about what I can do as a man to change that narrative, because it was not quite a pleasant experience. So that is when I remembered the lady in the class who was surprised by me as a man talking about periods and thought I am a period man. So I don't know what she meant by period man. But from that day I just told myself, well, why can't I advocate for this change? Why can't I talk about the stigma that girls are facing about periods? Yet it's something very normal. And that's when I just posted on my Facebook page that from today I'll be the period man. And the following day I was having an event and I introduced myself as I'm James Atito and I am the period man.
Wow.
So since then the name grew to a brand and it was registered as by the Kenya Corporate Board in 2020 as an advocacy brand for menstrual health.
Wow.
Yes.
So, as a period man, what are some of the aspects, when you look at it from even a man's perspective, apart from stigma, which has been there for a very long time, what other effects come with periods, for example, from where you sit?
Well, there are many things that revolve around periods. Stigma is key, and stigma is fueled by lack of information, both from women and men. You see, when I started the period man, my focus was to sensitize men to understand the challenges that girls go through during menstruation. But when I kept on posting on my Facebook page, I started getting a lot of questions from women. Questions asking about how many days am I supposed to menstruate? What kind of product is good for me? What kind of, if I don't get menstruation for this month, does it mean I'm pregnant? Such kind of questions made me to know that there is an information gap that is very important. And this information gap leads to a lot of other challenges, because that is when you hear girls who are misled by some certain men that come, I have medicine for periods. If I give you that medicine, you will not have periods again. And you know what that is? Sex, pregnancy. And it has led to a lot of teenage pregnancies due to that misinformation. So girls have sex, they get pregnant, they miss their periods for 9 months. That's medicine? Of course not. But that is the narrative that girls get outside here. Periods and the challenges that girls encounter about it affects learning for girls, affects employment. There are girls who cannot attend their work when they are menstruating because of very painful cramps. Girls cannot go to school because of fear of soiling their clothes and painful cramps, lack of menstrual products. So these things really affect girls in different sectors, and without addressing them, it is difficult really to achieve the sustainable development goals that we have, both in health, in gender, equality, in education, in sustainable environment. Many SDGs depend on how well we address the menstruation aspect.
And of course, as you've said, a lot of women have actually now started streaming in with questions. And but even as we will talk about the question, we will try to answer some of the questions later on. But growing up, everyone knows that at one point periods will come in one way or another. Both men and women are supposed to be aware of it, right? Because it affects even if it's your boyfriend, they kind of have to know what periods is and what happens during that time. So what are some of the misconceptions, especially that men have towards periods?
One common one is that it is a women only thing. And men are not supposed to engage in any conversation about periods. That is very common.
And what is the danger of that? That me thinking I'm not supposed to engage in any conversation. Like if I hear the word period, I'm like out of that conversation. What is the danger?
The danger is, one, it is health aspect. Because if men don't talk about periods, then they will not even know how to help when this girl needs help. There are some conditions that women face that are related to periods. Talk about fibroids, talk about endometriosis, talk about cervical cancer. Some girls mistake these conditions to having periods. You hear sometimes girls say that they are having periods twice in a month. Well, it is not normal to have period twice in a month. One could be period, and the second one could be fibroids. Maybe they have broken, so the blood is coming out. It could be endometriosis. It could be cervical cancer. It could be fibroids. It could be ovarian cyst, and many other conditions. So if men cannot talk about periods, then it means they cannot even know where to start from in assisting these girls. They might not be able even to diagnose and know what challenge is my daughter facing, or what challenge is my wife facing, or my sister. So there's a lot of disadvantages that come with that lack of information. So that is the basis of everything and addressing menstrual health. Information is very key, among other aspects.
So as period man, now that we know that there's a gap in information for both women and men, so how have you tried to bridge the gap in women and in men? Because I believe it's separate. They are both in different levels. So for women, what are some of the things that you have been able to do, and how effective have they been? And also for the men, what are the things that you have done, and how effective have they been?
Okay. So at Stretchers, we use 3 approaches in addressing menstrual health challenges. The first approach, actually we call the approach SCAR approach. SCAR is SCA. S stands for sensitization. So as an institution, we offer general sensitization about menstrual health, on products, on stigma, on medication, on pain management. Mention anything about periods. We offer general sensitization to the community. And this targets everyone: policymakers, students, parents, teachers, whoever is in the community. Then we also capacity build champions and advocates to understand the real issue about menstruation. For very many years, people have been addressing periods from the point of buying pads and distributing to girls. That is the least component as far as menstrual health is concerned. So we capacity build advocates to understand the general components of menstruation and how to address the skills to manage menstrual hygiene in dignified manner. Then third, we use advocacy to help or to push the government and policymakers to come up with policies that address menstrual health challenges in schools, workplaces, community, different places. So it is sensitization, capacity development, and advocacy. But the most of all, we are using what we call the 5 techniques of understanding menstruation, or the 5P approach. When I talk about the 5P approach, I'm addressing first P as products. For a very long time, people have been knowing 1 or 2 different brands of pads. To some extent, when you offer them a specific product, then you ask them, what is this? Instead of saying pad, they mention a specific brand. So we are sensitizing people to know there are different products, ranging from disposable product, where we have the tampon, the normal sanitary pads, where we have the reusable product, where we talk about the menstrual cups, the reusable sanitary pads, the menstrual cloth, and others. Then we talk about the second P, which is the palm. When I'm talking about the palm, then we handle the issues of hygiene. When changing menstrual products, there is need to wash the hands, which is the palm. Then the third P, we talk about the pain that girls face during menstruation and how to manage those pain. Then we talk about the paper. How do you dispose this menstrual product, among other aspects. So you realize there is quite a lot of information that is not out there that is very important for girls to address.
I think when we come back, we will really look down at those 5 P's, especially the first one about which one is disposable, which one is better for me as a person. Will I use a tampon? Will I use a cup? And what they are really in depth. But before then, let's finish up with stigmatization. There's a time a member of parliament went to parliament with a white, it was a white attire, and with blood. And she was trying to, she came out and tried to say she was trying to end the stigma, right? So when we come back, I want you to talk about that. How did you take that as a period man? Was it effective? Was it the right way? And did it have an effect, a positive effect for that matter? Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to end stigma, then is it going to help the girl or the woman out there?
Well, I start by giving a shout out to Honorable Senator Gloria Uruoba, a good friend of mine. And that was a very great cause she took. We needed someone in the house to push for this agenda. And that is what Senator is doing. We need policies addressed. We need budget allocations. We used to have a budget allocation of 480,000 for menstrual health in Kenya. But last year it was slashed by half.
Okay.
So if we have people like Senator Gloria pushing for this agenda from the Senate, I think that is the right way to go. We need the advocacy accelerated to that height. And we are mobilizing men. We want to see men talking about menstruation in the parliament, in policy, in decision-making bodies, so that we have better allocations for menstruation address. So I support it 100%. And even if we can have more men and women joining the cause, it will be better.
Okay, so earlier on we had talked about the P's that you use in the training. So let's look at the first P, which was products.
Yes.
So a lot of products are in the market about menstrual periods and all, but even us as women do not have the right information about them. So if you would break down what a pad is, what a tampon is, what a menstrual cup is, and every other thing, and maybe who can use what and who can leave out what.
Well, that is one of the hardest questions I always get. Because the reason why it is hard is because all these products have market. It becomes not economical. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
So what I always tell girls is try until you find what suits you. And sometimes you can even find something that suits you, but after several years, it again starts going against you. So you have to again try another product until you find what fits you at that time. So there is no single product that I'll say that all of you go to this one, because it is not one fits them all.
Yeah, but what we'd love to understand really is, okay, fine, there are pads, and then what is a tampon and how is it used? And of course, you'll have to weigh, because I think there's an advantage of using one than the other. So that's the products that are in that help women through the menstruation period. Because you mentioned about the cup. What is a cup, and how do we use it? You know?
Well, they are the pads, disposable, the ones that you use once and throw. Okay, and then we have the tampon. Tampon is made of cotton, and it is inserted. It is a finger-like product. It is inserted in the vagina to absorb the blood. Then it is disposable. Just use it once. We have the reusable pad, sanitary pad, that is manufactured in the factory, and we have those that are manufactured locally. Locally, I mean somebody can just, groups of women come together and they learn how to make reusable pads. They sew all together and they are ready for use. But there are those that are manufactured in specific companies that you can use for a period of 12, 13 months, then change. Then we have the menstrual cups. There are those that you can use for 3 years. There are those that you can use for 5 years. And there are those that you can use for 10 years. I wish we had, we were live on TV. Are we?
Yeah, you can actually show us what they are. We have a camera here, so you can.
I don't know if I carried a pad with me, but I'm sure I have tampon and cup.
Okay, show us it. I think for the pad, it's a bit.
It's common.
Common and clear.
Yes. So when we talk about a tampon, something like this, okay? Then when you open it up and it absorbs blood, it expands.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it expands.
All right.
And it have a string that you can use to pull it out.
Okay.
And then a cup is something like this. It's a cup. So it collects blood. Blood gets inside here. Then after some time, you get yourself to a safe space, remove, pour the blood, rinse the cup, and reinsert. So both the menstrual cup and the tampons are insertables. One absorbs blood, one collects the blood, then you pour out. Yeah.
Someone would think, okay, how do you know it's going to get full? For example, the cup. Do you have to keep going to the washroom to check it if it's full, or how will you even know?
Well, this cup has different parts, and it has some holes around here. I don't know if you can see. Somewhere here, there are these holes, small holes. So these holes are meant to alert you when the cup is almost full. You feel air-like bubbles coming out. You feel like some sort of air coming out when it is almost full, because as the blood comes up, it eases the air inside. So that is an alert that your cup is almost full. So we advise girls, when they feel that kind of thing, it is time to get to change or to take out the cup and pour the blood out and rinse it, then reinsert.
All right.
Yes.
So, okay, what makes it? There are so many. You've said there's a cup that goes for 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years.
Yes.
So what's the difference between the one that goes for 3 years, the 5 years, and the 10 years?
The elasticity aspect, how they are manufactured. Also, the companies are different. How they're manufactured, the elasticity aspect, the thickness aspect, the kind wear and tear. So they're just the way they are manufactured, that they wear and tear after some time, and that is what determines how long you can stay with them.
Okay. So, well, it's all advisable that we find, as a woman, to find whatever suits you best. But do you think, as someone who has interacted with a lot of women, and also someone who knows this knows about the cup, the pads, the tampons, and the cloth. Do you think there's one thing that feels better for everyone that has suited a lot of people? Like it has a unique, what do we call it? A USP, unique selling point proposition.
One, let me start with the menstrual cup. Those who have used the menstrual cup say they cannot go back to pads, neither tampon.
Okay.
Why? Because one, it saves you money. You buy this at 3,500, use it for 10 years. Very cost effective. Okay. Two, those who love swimming, those who love doing active programs or activities, love using it because you can swim with it while on menstruation. You cannot swim while wearing a pad, right? Sometimes it is difficult also to swim while using the tampon. But for the cup, you can do every activity you want to do. When you go to this one, actually, we always say in the market, tampon is the most expensive because a box of it goes for about 240, and maybe it has only 8 pieces. As you compare to a pad that has 8 pieces, goes for 100. So you find out that tampon is very expensive, but there are those who still prefer using it. The pads also, nowadays we have different varieties. There are those that are called flexi pads. They have some modification that makes girls feel comfortable. So I think that is what I can say about the products.
Because I can see a lot of questions about the menstrual cup. So you've answered the question about how will I know when it's full, and also, will it get out? Will it fall out? Because in the as someone is running their errands, is it possible for it to sleep a little bit? Or, for example, you've said people who love doing activities.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm a gymnastic or something like that, and I am very involved in it. So, is it going to be as comfortable? And will I keep checking?
From those who have used the cup, they say it is very comfortable.
All right.
One, you see, this cup has different parts, and it is unique in nature in a way that every part has its use. This wide base here, once it is inserted, this base aligns itself with the vagina wall and holds the vacuum in a way that this cup cannot come out, neither can it go further than the place where you've put it. And by the time you'll be going to remove it, for it to come out easily, you have to first pinch the bottom to release the air so that the vacuum is relieved for you to remove it easily and pour out the blood.
Okay.
So it will not go in further or come out if it is not you who is doing it.
All right.
Yes.
There's another question of period month. Why painful? Why are periods? Do they have painful cramps? That is, how do you manage the pain? That is what she is asking.
Well, how do you manage period pain?
Yes.
Number one, you have to understand what type of pain is that. Is it primary menorrhea? The period pain, we call it menorrhea. So is it primary menorrhea or secondary menorrhea?
Hey, what does that mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I just know I have cramps. Hey, what is you've said primary menorrhea?
Yes.
What is primary menorrhea?
The normal period pain.
Okay.
Okay.
What makes it normal? What is normal and what is not?
Well, the reason why you get the pain is because the muscles contract. The muscles in the womb. Okay? They contract to compel the blood out. That is when you feel the pain. Okay, so it should be considerably, not limiting you from doing your day-to-day activities. But if you're having an extreme pain that limits you to do your activities, then it could be secondary menorrhea. Secondary simply means there is an underlying cause other than the normal contraction of the muscles. And these causes could be endometrial cancer, it could be endometriosis, it could be ovarian cyst, it could be any other thing other than the normal contraction of the muscle. So if we always work with our partners, the Endometriosis Foundation of Kenya, and they are saying is that period pain is not normal, okay, and we don't need to ignore it. There is no baseline of pain that you can say period pain should be this level. Different girls experience different pains, different months. So what you need to know is if you're having serious period pain that limits you from doing your activities, then you need to go and check for possible causes of the secondary menorrhea.
Yeah. It is 2 minutes to 9 a.m.
But for you to address the primary pain, we have things like hot water bottle. We have the Jolly device. Jolly device is a medical way of addressing the pain. It is
Is that for primary or secondary?
Both.
Okay.
So it is non-medical, so no need of taking painkillers. It is a device that you simply patch on your stomach where you're feeling the pain. Then you switch it on. It's a very small gadget. Then it vibrates. As it vibrates, it confuses the pain. So you don't concentrate now on the pain. You don't feel the pain. So it helps you manage the pain. Then there are those, of course, who use the painkillers, which we don't recommend. We advise tea. There's some kind of tea that helps relieve the pain.
Which kind of tea?
Ginger. You can have ginger tea. There is also lemon green tea that helps to reduce the pain. And also we advise women to lower their fat intake and carbonate intake, vitu kama masoda, pombe, when they're approaching their menses. And fatty foods, kuku fry, mandazi, viazi, karai.
In short, you're saying tukule mboga.
Yes. Kula mboga, kunywa maji mengi. It helps in managing the pain.
There's another question as we wind up. It's already 1 minute to 9. My greatest fear as a father is knowing that soon my 11-year-old will start experiencing the menses. So how do you handle the transition as a father? How do you handle the transition?
Well, the first step is realizing that, one, you're a father, and two, that fear that you already have should now compel you to start doing research on how to approach the issue, and make sure you always provide the necessary resources needed. Any father who leaves the house in the morning must make sure, other than money for food, there is also money to buy menstrual products if they're not in the house. Because period can start anytime. When you're not there. So how will this girl support herself? So these are things that you need to make sure you provide. And then do more research. It is not a one-time thing. The confidence builds up in due time. So do research, get the knowledge, the information. You can inbox me. I can give some few tips on how to address it. Always available on my social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search The Period Man. I have questions there. We interact on one-on-one basis, and we see how best do we support men address period challenges.
Oh, there's one more question here. Do you feel shame when doing this?
When I leave this studio, going back to my office, it will not be written on my forehead that this is the period man, the man who talks about period. And there is no shame in anything biological. We don't decide. Girls don't decide when they want to have periods. It comes. Okay, so there is no shame in it. I don't feel ashamed. I have a wife, very beautiful one, who motivates me to always talk about periods. I learn from her experiences. She helps me to know the kind of challenges that women face during menstruation, and that gives me the courage to push on, because I have someone whom I must get good care of when they are on menstruation.
Right. What are your social media handles as we wind up?
The Period Man, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yes. The Period Man. Just period.
The Period Man.
Period. It is 3 minutes past 9 a.m. It has been a very good conversation with the Period Man. If you have any other extra question, you can send it to Blue Radio K, your Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also, you can follow the Period Man on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and he will be able to answer these questions. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Blue Radio. This is the Breakfast Vibe.